I've already removed the kick plate from under the refrigerator, which opens up the area where the front part of the coils are. I reached in with a crevice tool and a shop vac, cleaned these out yesterday the best I could. The problem with this is you cannot reach in with a brush or anything to get to the other side of these coils. You also have to take the back panel off the refrigerator and clean from that side. Now last year I tried blowing this out using the exhaust on a shop vac. Unfortunately I did that right after my wife had cleaned the house and we blew dirt all over everything, so we're going to change our approach this year. I'm going to make an air dam that will sit flush against this part and this part. You can see there's some bolts and screws that stick out on that side. We have a water filter that's in the way here, mounting bracket down here. There's a water hose that we have to clear, and again we've got some more bolts that we have to clear. The biggest hassle will be making the air dam that will sit flat and seal against the front part of the refrigerator. And I will connect a couple of shop vacs to that to draw negative pressure under the refrigerator so I can blow the dirt out from the back side. And hopefully that will trap all that dirt. It's a bit embarrassing that these coils have gotten this dirty. I actually forgot to clean this for an excessive period of time. This really needs to be cleaned twice a year, but it's a real hassle, so people are probably lucky if they remember to do it once a year. And if you have quite a few people in your house, or if you have a dog or cat or both, you probably need to clean these out about every 2 or 3 months. This air dam thing, I hope, will simplify this and make it less of a chore to clean these coils. Now, what I'm showing you will work for this refrigerator. I'm not going to show you how I made it because it's irrelevant if you have a different refrigerator. You'll have to make something similar that will fit yours. I've made this piece, and these will clear these bolts over here. This section goes around the water filter and the release button, and bridges across the top of it to seal that off. I have a slot here for the water hose, and these clear the bolts. So that goes in there like that. And you can close the doors to the refrigerator. And that seals, that pushes up against that. I might put a piece of tape around this 2 sides. And then my shop vac hoses will plug in here and here. I've taken a cardboard cover off the back of the refrigerator. That opens up where the fan and the compressor is. And this accumulates quite a bit of dust. You can see the fan blades need to be wiped off on occasion. In the kitchen you have a certain amount of moisture and oil that's in the air from cooking, and that can make stuff stick and build up on the fan blades. This is a set of 5 different coils that are folded in a zigzag pattern up and down that go from the front to the rear. The fan is drawing air from the front and exhausting out the back. The worst accumulation of the dirt in that will be on the front coil, but these are still pretty dirty. You can see the dirt on those coils in front of the compressor. And underneath the compressor is this fiberglass material. That's their half-hearted attempt at trying to reduce the sound level of this compressor when it's running. This process, the way I've built it, requires 2 shop vacs plugged into the front. And then I'm using a 3rd shop vac which has a connection to be able to put a hose onto the exhaust. And I'll be using that shop vac to blow from the back of the refrigerator. Since the bottom of the fridge is not sealed to the sides, there's no tray down there. Placing a towel down each side will help contain any dust, keep it from escaping that way. Actually, this has worked very well. That coil is clean. This in here is quite clean. By by comparison anyway. The fan blades we wiped off by hand. But it's blown the dust off and carried it forward, and it was picked up by the shop vacs. This is a piece of cardboard on the back of the refrigerator, and air exhausts out those louvered cutouts on one side. I use a piece of 2x4 behind the refrigerator so it won't be pushed too close to the wall. Looking back in the front, those coils are fairly clean. I had to blow a little bit on the front of these when I took the air dam off of here. Instead of using the exhaust from the one shop vac, next time I'll just use 2 shop vacs on the front, and I'll bring my compressor and use a little higher velocity air to blow in from the rear. That shop vac exhaust air is a little bit too weak to clear all of these coils. But that air dam did a very good job of collecting material. We didn't have a dust cloud in here like we did last time. Very briefly how I made this. This surface is tempered hardboard. I knew how high and how long I needed it. I figured out what size opening I needed in the center. And this is going to seal against those 2 flat faces. The one underneath the doors and the one that's like a piece of angle iron down at the bottom. And I chose this hardboard. It's thin enough so the doors of the refrigerator would still be able to close. Any place you have a bolt or a head of a screw sticking out, you can drill an indentation to clear that. This was done to clear the bottom of the mounting bracket for the water filter. I roughed out that opening to go around the water filter and the release button for the filter. And I framed this hardboard with something that was thick enough and stiff enough to give some support to this. And I glued and stapled that to the wood. Then I used a piece of cheap plywood, boxed in that filter to get it out enough to clear the outside face of it. And then there's 2 holes that were drilled for a shop vac hose. And this happens to fit my shop vac. And it goes in that far and seals. Now these are 1.25 inches, and that was the correct size for my shop vac. Not all shop vacs are created equal. Right on here what it's for. I like to date things. It's interesting to see how long ago I made something. But you write on there what it's for, put it in the garage or hang it on a wall someplace where you can find it again. And hopefully somebody won't throw that away thinking it's a piece of junk. The hardest part of this is making it. Once it's made, it's going to make your life a lot easier on subsequent cleanings of the coil in your refrigerator. This was pretty much a one-day project. It's not that easy to come up with the correct mesh for all the protrusions and stuff that stick out from the refrigerator and still being able to get the doors to close.